Hello and welcome to another edition of the One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Kyle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Good to be back here. Thanks for everybody tuning in today. We kind of had a week off, busy week last week. Uh,
Still been on some podcasts and things, of course. I was on with Mike Barrera after the big news with the union came out, did
yep.
some post-game stuff after Miami. So it's been around, just
Yeah,
the
we just
timing
have,
of everything.
yeah, just timing everything and just with some of the news. Kind of had an episode and then news broke when we were going to
Mhm.
record. So kind of scrapped that one. Thought we'd come back here and kind of do a cornucopia episode of
Mm.
different takes
Yes.
and thoughts.
Yes, like a smorgasbord,
Yeah, so
but
but
not like the overrated Shady Maple one.
correct. But anyway, we're gonna talk a little bit about World Cup call-ups, especially with the World Cup just around the corner.
Hmm.
We got a little MLS Next Cup and MLS Next Pro news.
Hmm.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room as well.
Hmm.
Press conference last week. Bradley has departed the club,
Hmm.
and Jon Scheer is now
No longer interim.
interim. Yes, interim name is now. He is now officially the sporting director moving forward.
Hmm.
Um, that news had broken a little bit before June 1st.
Hmm.
And it is June 1st as of this recording. And yeah, we still have not heard anything.
Yeah, we thought there'd be an announcement today of some sort,
Yeah,
but nope.
but so anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, what are you wearing today?
All right, well, we stopped out at the Soccer Post in
Yeah.
Lancaster recently, and I picked up a little something for myself. I know you did too. Maybe you'll wear yours at some point, but I got a Scotland national team kit. Um, so got to rep, the motherland. No, my great grandmother was from Scotland. I mentioned this before. So, but yeah, obviously I root for the USA, but I'll like root for Scotland too. I'm bummed that they're not playing in Philly because I would have definitely gone to that.
I mean, we still go up to Boston, see him play Haiti. That'd be a fun match.
That would be.
I am wearing everybody always says you don't wear any Philadelphia stuff.
Well,
Well, I decided to pivot and wearing a Philadelphia Adams from 1979, my birth year,
mhm.
NASL t-shirt.
Yeah. And it's interesting you're wearing that because I'm reading about that right now. I'm reading Mark Franick's book, American Soccer Nation, and
Yeah.
we'll be talking about that in a future episode. But really good read, highly recommend. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But that's a great shirt you got there, Kyle.
Yeah. So where can people find us at?
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, find us on our YouTube channel for the One Team We Agree On. We have our website, theoneteamweagreeon.com, where you can find all kinds of articles, as well as we have our socials. We're at TOTWAG on Twitter and on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram and Facebook at the One Team We Agree On. You can find me at silly double underscore Jilly on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm on Blue Sky at Jillian Almany. And I'm on TikTok at Jillian. I always forget. It's Jillian underscore Almany. Yeah. So I've been posting some things on there a little bit lately.
Yeah, yeah, no, and let's dive into it. We got a lot to discuss today. First off, World Cup news.
Yeah. It's almost here.
On Wednesday, prior to the major announcement,
Mm-hmm.
we learned that Oluwethu Makanya had been selected to represent South Africa. So that's the major news. Now he joins Stanley Jean-Jacques, who's with Haiti. And first time you have had two active players in the World Cup. So
Yeah.
that's massive.
Super thrilled for Makanya.
Yeah, first national team call up, and once you know it's during a World Cup, and yeah, I mean, look, and the other thing was he played in their send-off match against Nicaragua last Friday, played 90 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and earned his first cap, with South Africa in the process. Um, South Africa will be stationed in, I think it's Pachuca. I was
Yes.
looking at it.
Believe
They're
so.
playing in Pachuca. I mean, they're stationed in Pachuca. They'll be training there. They open up on June 11th against Mexico. Then they play Chechnya on June 18th.
Chechnya, or is it Czechia?
Czech,
As in Czech Republic,
yeah,
yeah.
Chechnya. Sorry,
Czechia.
yeah,
Czechia? Yeah.
yeah. In Atlanta, Georgia, and conclude group stage against the Republic of Korea in Monterrey, Mexico. So, Jillian, overall thoughts when you heard that news? Now, we did know he was selected to the preliminary roster. I
Right.
was down at training last Friday. A lot of discussion about that during that press conference with Carnell, and obviously there was interview. I think it was Joe Tanzi interviewed him, but a lot of news around that. So now your thoughts on that?
So I am thrilled for Makanya. I think this is so well deserved. And to we've seen how hard he's worked to get to this point,
Right.
working with Union 2 under Marlon LeBlanc, and then, Bradley giving him a chance up at the first team and him having a great season last year. And, maybe this year hasn't been what it was last year,
Right.
but I mean, he really has come into his own though, and um, you know, I'm super excited for him. I think that's great. And you, Kyle, you talked to him last year, it was after the Miami game,
Hmm.
the away match, and you talked to him, and I posted this clip on our socials, just what it would mean to him to play for South Africa in the World Cup if that he got that chance. And so it was cool to revisit that.
It
So
was.
yeah, but in my experience, anytime I've talked to Makanya, he's, super friendly, super humble, and, just um he's the kind of guy you want to root for. So happy for him. I hope he goes and plays really well and, seizes this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think for him, both him and Danley, you want to see them out there representing their country to the fullest and making the most of the opportunities. Now, I know he did start against Nicaragua. I can also tell you, so people listening aren't like, oh, well, why isn't he starting when, like, they play Mexico? They were against they rotated that squad. So
Hmm.
I think it's something where Hugo Bruce is like, hey, I want to see what I got with some of my depth pieces for the World Cup. And, you know,
Hmm.
that's an excellent opportunity for him. And just looking at some of the statistics, it looked like he stepped up and made the most of it. Now, I also thought about this. I mean, what if he were to get that opportunity? I mean, make a start or two, who knows? Or at least make appearances. The whole comments about Bruce, we hate to keep bringing that up about him, about MLS and all that. We talked to Carnell about that about a year ago,
Hmm.
actually. What was it, November? I'm having him and Bakazi go out there and ball out for South Africa. I would be so curious to see how that changes the perception in that country of MLS
Yeah.
because I just feel like they're very uneducated about it.
Yeah.
The fact that McConaughey gets selected to, oh, let's go see what this kid's had. Oh, he's actually really
Hmm.
good. Now he's on the World Cup roster. He never made a call up before. It's like maybe this starts to change the tide a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Plus, if he balls out, that might mean offers coming in for him. And same goes for Danley as well.
I mean, but there again, and we'll talk about it I mean, Sheer kind of talked about the rivals departures kind of scenario.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that a little bit, but yeah, I mean
Hmm.
that's part of the game. And again, the Union have a number,
Hmm.
but more to the point, he did cut his teeth, so to speak, in MLS Next Pro after, Curtin really didn't have really didn't see it in him at the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to LeBlanc and his staff for development.
Yeah.
But I also will say this, I think him and Cardinell had a good coach player relationship. I remember Cardinell saying how McConaughey came back stronger than ever
Yeah.
after last year. And would often praise McConaughey's performance, even when we were kind of sitting there going, did he?
Yeah. I mean, both South Africans, and I think for Makanya, it brought him a sense of comfort too. Like I think Makanya had said on that one podcast he was on, I think it was that where he said how Bradley had like some food from South Africa
Yeah.
to give me, and it was just like little things like that.
There was definitely a bond between those two.
Yeah.
And then last year, where some were like he was the better defender at times. I think you saw that growth and development. And like you said, it hasn't translated this year, but again, he still flashed his moments, and part of that is this rebuild. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And yesterday, Makanya posted on his Instagram actually a nice message with some photos of him and Bradley. And what he said was, as a man, as a father, your character can never be questioned. And as a coach, you can never be faulted. You deserve more. And one thing for sure, there's always a way back for good people to where they belong. Thank you for your guidance, patience, and belief in my journey. All the best to you and your family. So I thought that was really nice.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And that was a really nice message. And there again, you can see the impact
Yeah.
of the coach that, Carnell had on McConkey. So I think you need to credit those two.
Hmm.
Obviously, we'll see what his future is come the springtime. I mean, the
Hmm.
fall, post transfer window. But yeah, happy for him. Wish him
Hmm.
nothing but the best. And let's move on. Uh, MLS Next Cup results. Jillian, you've been putting out a lot of articles.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little bit of academy talk here. So the U15s, 16s, and 18s from the Union Academy, they traveled to Salt Lake City and they were there for the MLS Next Cup playoffs. And um, strong squads. And so they basically they had to play a year up. They had to play an age group
Mhm.
up because all the MLS academies had to play a year up. So the 15s were playing in the U16 bracket, and the 16s were playing as U17s, and then the 18s were playing as U19s. So, so it might have been confusing to anyone following that if you didn't know that. But yeah, so that's to, promote their development, give them more challenge, whatever. So the uh the matches, like only one of them was actually able to be viewed by people because they were only streaming certain ones, and that was the U15s in their second to last match against Bay Area Surf. So and that one they won. That was an exciting one to watch. But what was frustrating was the lack of updates. Um, MLS Next did not post a lot of things, just the Union Academy would post some things. I was seeing a lot of the updates from other content creators. Shout out to whoever runs HMSK content because
Yeah.
they did a really good job putting stuff out about Dallas Cup and also MLS Next Cup. So like that's where I saw a lot of stuff. And I have sources and different ways of finding out things too.
Yes.
But just keeping on top of all that, trying to put the stuff out as much as possible. Long story short, the U15s, they made it to the semifinals. And, that was a tough match. They lost that, unfortunately, got shut out on that. But they have some really good up and coming players. Jude Larby is one that you guys want to
Yes.
keep an eye on. He's definitely a strong player for them. They have some other guys. And Almami Barry is one
Yep.
that's highly, highly rated. He just came in. He kind of trialed during the Snow Bowl. He was in there. So he's one to watch. I've heard great things about him. Highly athletic, skilled player, so keep an eye on him. And Jacob Mays was one that he just came from the Baltimore area. He's from
Yeah.
Maryland. And so, Gino Cesare, like some bunch of these names, probably a lot of you guys listening have no idea, but hey, these are guys that were, a lot of promise. They're really coming up. The 16s, they there's a send off for Coach Peter McDonald, who's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
He's going on to new endeavors, but just fantastic coach with him. I always like how I've seen him with the players and with the team. So,
Yeah, and every conversation I had with him, you
mhm,
tell that he gets the development side of
yeah,
things. He always puts the player first, never wants to really talk about himself, which is great.
never heard a bad thing about. All I ever hear from other people too is like, class, class, class. Like
I thought when those changes were made, that was one of the guys I was banging the table for to,
be
maybe
interim for Union too.
do, yeah,
Yeah,
because I think he would have been excellent.
hmm
But hey, that's awesome that he, he's going to move on and take what he's learned with his time at the academy and use that moving forward. That's
Yeah.
what you want to see.
Yeah, and he was the 18s coach last year. But yeah, so he went down to the 16s, but 16s they made it to the
Yes.
quarterfinals, and unfortunately lost on that. And that was a tough one. Because they had a goal that was like called off, and so unfortunately, a tough break there. You got guys, really doing well there. Like Timoni Gabal, Joby, Abdoulaye Diop, a bunch of these guys, Sam guys, like there's so many good players coming up through. They have a crazy amount of depth, I think there. So, and then the 18s, Chris Harmon leads them and we'll talk more about him in a little bit, but the 18s, they made it to the round of 16. I thought they really had a chance to go win it all, and I spoke with several of the players beforehand. We talked to Andrew Craig, Tyler Gladstone, Mateus DePaula, like talked to these guys, and they really have a lot of belief going to this. And they put, from everything I heard, because of course you couldn't even watch any of these things, except for seeing some of the clips. But they put all out there. Just tough break with them, and they end up getting knocked out in their second game. They ended up playing a showcase game then, which they won 4-1. But um, it was it was just interesting to me that their game that they got knocked out in, they did change goalkeeper in that.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll do that. They have several strong
No,
goalkeepers.
let's explain. They switched
Alex Smith,
Smith, who's their captain, and their
he's not
star.
their
Oh,
captain,
he's
but
not, just
Andrew
that's
Craig's their
Craig. Yeah,
captain.
sorry.
But Alex Smith was phenomenal in Dallas Cup,
Yeah, he's
and
MVP,
yeah.
and he's had a very solid season. Obviously, he's going to college,
Hmm.
and then you got Matthew White, who is a solid. He's been made national team call-ups, and he's a solid keeper coming up through the academy.
Yeah.
They decided to go with him, and yeah, unfortunately, and maybe they just wanted to get him some playing time up there at a major
Hmm.
cup because, I mean, he's going to be their keeper moving forward. Now, you know, devil's advocate, maybe you keep a Smith in net in an MLS Next Cup,
Hmm.
but I can see both sides of the coin. I really, really can.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, and you know, that was it was a tough break. But yeah, they won their showcase game against Austin FC 4-1.
hmm
So at least they were able to finish that off because a lot of these guys have played together for a really long time. And so with several of them going off to college, just I know like talking to those guys, they said how special that group was. So
yeah, I
yeah.
know how much that the ability to win that tournament would be. And when I was down training, I talked to Ryan because I mean, a lot of those guys that are playing now with Union Two,
Hmm.
even. Ryan even said, yeah, it's going to cost us in the short term when they were at the time playing Atlanta United too,
Hmm.
but that's part of their development, and that's something that they need to go, and it's going to be more beneficial. I don't know how much I believe it, but
Hmm.
going to that than playing an MLS Next program, which I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's part
Yeah.
of their development.
So the academy season is over now,
Mhm.
and probably see some academy guys, take a bigger role with Union 2 here that'll hang around during summer.
Who are some names that our listeners should be keeping an eye out for?
Okay, well, I mean, he's been a consistent starter lately, but Mateus DePaula, we're gonna talk about him.
We'll talk about him.
You're talking about guys that haven't been with Union 2 yet, that maybe we'll see,
Yeah, or like have
or
very
have been more limited.
limited. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the guys are gonna be going off to college, but before they do, maybe we'll see more of Andrew Craig and Lennon Harrington, see those guys. I mean, Alex Smith has been in and he's just been a backup keeper. He hasn't actually appeared with Union 2, but you might see more of him. Nehan Hassan, he's been pretty um, regular getting in with Union 2. So like those guys, they're going off to college though. So I think that, I think we're gonna see more Tyler Gladstone
hmm
because he has only been in a little bit, but he's a rising senior. I think we'll definitely see more of Tyler. And maybe we'll see some guys like, I don't know, maybe Jet Harrison. Um, I really like,
Or like who?
yeah, no, he's a newer player. He came in, he kind of, first I saw him was during the Snow Bowl. And, he's from like Oklahoma. He played in like North Texas kind of area.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, he's one that I've really liked how he plays. So maybe we'll
He
see.
is impressive. When I've watched him, he is very impressive. And Ryan says, he's still very young, still learning the system, but
Yeah. Mhm.
every time I watch him in training, he's good.
Yeah, I think we'll see more of Theo Reed and John Ruff and
Probably.
yeah, and um those guys will get more of a chance and probably gonna definitely need to see him in the next game because they're gonna be missing a couple people.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be tough with all the international call-ups.
Hmm.
But hey, yeah, I mean, yeah, good Academy season overall. Maybe not the standard they've come to set for themselves,
Yeah.
obviously, but still very, very
Yeah.
impressive. And you're seeing these kids with the second team now making that transition.
Yeah.
And Shearer said something in his press conference that
Hmm.
I thought was very interesting that we'll touch on a little
Yeah.
bit later as well.
You'll probably see more of Timo Mendoza too, because he has had been more limited, but we'll probably see him. We'll see if you maybe Mateo Gallegos. He was he appeared on the bench at the next Pro Eastern Conference game at Red Bull 2 last year.
That's right. Yeah, I
Remember?
forgot about that.
But he's yeah, he's been with them at times too, but he might be one that
That's the
we'll
same
see.
game where we're like, why is Nick Pariano just sitting there? We're in the press box. Why is
Yeah.
Nick Pariano not playing? But he's
Yeah.
warming up, and then it's like, oh yeah, he pulled his hamstring. I'm like,
Yeah, that was a bummer.
yeah, it was a bummer.
But moving on.
Anyway, yeah,
The big news.
big news. All right. The announcements, we heard Cardinal for weeks say there are going to be announcements around June 1st, and we've talked this ad nauseum. Would they keep him?
Mm,
Would they not keep him? We said I'd be shocked if they would, and I'm still kind of shocked they moved on from him in a little bit of ways. But then when I went back, I know Todd and Jose talked about when I
yeah.
went back and watched those podcasts, last three press
Yeah.
conferences, it was a change in tone.
Especially the last one, especially the one after Miami.
Yeah, that one right there, I remember just watching it going, yeah, I don't know if he's going to be around much longer. But yeah, he is out now as the head coach at the Philadelphia Union.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's tough.
Yeah.
You hate to see anybody lose their job,
Yeah.
especially after a great season that he had.
Winning the Supporters Shield and being coach of the year.
Yeah,
That's where I kind of thought maybe he gets a little bit longer of a leash, but
but I also think a lot was said in certain things. I know others that we talked to have spoken about it on their podcasts too, in that, yeah, I just think this was the time Philadelphia Union were just going to hit the reset button. And you heard Jay Sugarman in his opening statement say, yeah, they got it wrong at the beginning of the season. And it wasn't really a shot at Bradley so much, just, hey, maybe we moved too many pieces, lost too many veterans. And
hmm,
at the end of the day, the coach is going to take the shot.
just like
Not,
with the Phillies with
yep.
Rob Thompson, you know.
It,
And let's see if maybe we'll see if the same thing happens if they get that new coach bump like with Don Mattingly.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, 7 points through what, 15 games. I mean,
And then there's coaches that have been fired from
for
other
that,
teams for like yeah, that have better records even.
yeah, like better records, more wins. So I
Hmm.
get it. Again,
Hmm.
Bradley, had a good season. You can say what you want, the parallels between that and
It's right. Yeah,
St. Louis City. We're not going to divulge into that because I will say this, having coached, every situation's different.
it is.
And every situation, you're working towards your next job
Yeah.
because very few coaches are going to be around for 10, 12
Yeah.
years. Um, I mean,
Yeah, it's the nature of the job and
it
they
is.
know this going into it and I do like that Bradley was able to, kind of have a quote there,
I thought that was
and
classy.
a message. Yeah, I thought that was too. And that's the thing, like not all the people out there see like all the facets. Like we've interacted with Bradley, many times,
Hmm.
and there's what you see in the press conferences and on the field, but then it's like, when we've been down at training or I've been at even a Union 2 game and he's there or something, and it's just like talking with him. He was not never anything but friendly with me,
Oh,
and
he
yeah, he
he
was
was great with you. I mean,
yeah. And
he
honestly, he never cooked me on a press conference. So Bradley, thank you for that. Because you probably could have once or twice, but thank you for not. No, I just appreciate that, he always was really kind to me, and and I had some good conversations with him. And I really do think that he he really cared. I do. And I think, it was a tough situation, and I don't know if everybody knows. I know it's not like a lot of people do this, but Bradley didn't even have his family over here. His
Mm,
family was still in St. Louis, his
right.
wife, and his daughters are like in college or whatever. But it's like that's tough.
I mean, it's tough. It definitely is. And now I know for a fact we've seen his wife.
She'd come to, yeah,
Yeah,
like she's
comment.
come to
I
think.
mean, it's not like they were just staying down there
Yeah.
all by himself. They were definitely, you could tell, making the effort.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, to your point, I know we've always maybe not in press conferences, but behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I remember even this year when we went to Columbus, just having that nice interaction with him afterwards, after
Yeah.
a tough loss,
Yeah.
and him being very grateful that we were there
Yeah.
in Houston and other places as well when we would go out. Um, and just talking to him, like you said, training Union 2 games,
Hmm.
it was a thing where when the camera was on during a press conference, I always felt he was one way, but off the camera,
Hmm.
uh, he appreciated the job that we were doing, especially with covering the
Yeah.
development side. He
Yeah.
was always very complimentary about that,
Yeah.
complimentary about our friends and just the
Yeah.
work we were putting into covering the club. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that and thank Bradley for that.
Yeah.
He cooked me a couple times, but hey, you know, I it's not gonna be the last time I get cooked, and some of those questions weren't the greatest, so I get
Yeah.
it. I get that 100%, and that's fair. That is totally fair. And you know, he was in a tough spot this year, you could tell. And
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and I think a lot of fans agree, that Bradley doesn't deserve all the blame at all. Like
I just think it was the perfect storm at
Mhm.
times. They moved too much. They tried to reset.
Too many of those moves. So loss of leadership and stuff, new signings not working out in some
Yeah,
cases, Quinn being injured, of course, just like a lot of different things.
he,
Injuries at different times, and not just Quinn, but there's other injuries too that happened that were not ideal.
I
So,
mean, every time was at training this year. Um, I didn't see anything that would suggest otherwise. I mean, again, we only have 15 minutes. I know occasionally you had more than 15 minutes when you'd be
hmm.
talking with Bradley, but
Yeah.
um, I mean, the vibes there at the end were, I wouldn't say they were different. Like I saw, I think it was Todd about it. Like he was asking me about that. I said the energy was there.
Hmm.
I mean, but was it what it was in 20 last year? I think I even told him that. I was like, no, you could tell it was there, but it wasn't like everybody's just going through the motion. That was
Yeah.
2024
Oh, yeah.
with Curtin when I was like, yeah, this is not what was the year prior.
Yeah.
But again, you could tell. So
But yeah,
I mean, we wish him the best.
yeah, all
I
the
mean,
best, Bradley, in your future endeavors. I'm sure he'll land somewhere.
I
Um,
mean, maybe he goes back to, with Jesse Marsh in Canada. I know others have said that. Maybe honestly, he's been away from his family. Maybe just goes home.
Kind of does what Jim Curtin's been doing,
Yeah,
having family
and
time.
just spend the rest of the year. I mean, he's going to get paid through the rest of the year.
Hmm.
And just spend time with the family. He said that they've traveled. I remember in one press conference he said his wife, followed him all over the world. Maybe he
Yeah.
just goes home like he
Hmm.
did after St. Louis City and just regroups and figures what's next for him.
Yep. And so, of course, taking over for him in the interim is Ryan Richter, who we know very well from Union 2.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, that's the thing. I mean, you got Jim Curtin's assistant who replaced Pat Noonan. Noonan, Noonan, Noonan.
okay.
Um, I mean, he's been so far. I mean, I remember last year, I think it's on our podcast, our interview with him last year, where, him and Jon Scheer came up together. Remember he talked about that? And
Yeah.
they came in around the same time. Ryan started out low academies. He's still invested
It
at
was
the
around 2017 or
yeah,
so. Yeah, 2018 somewhere.
he's still invested with like the development side with
It was, yeah.
Swag.
He coaches the eight. he like coaches the U8s on the swag, which is so cool. And he's talked about how much like coaching that means to him.
Yeah, he said it's so much fun, and he
Yeah.
really, really, really enjoys it. I remember even this last time, I won't share our conversation, but we chatted about that, and I could just say he is having a ball. He really was. He really. You talk about Spike, he lights up.
Oh yeah. And he's been featured on things for the swag. Like you can
Yeah,
go see it on Instagram. Like, he said it's like, coaching school kids, it's like the purest form of the sport. This some
it
what he
really is.
thinks.
It's like I appreciate that now. How I'm going from like when I go from like nationals
Hmm.
to like coaching like novice kids. It's like yeah, I'm just coaching pure sport of swimming.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
yeah.
I see the parallels there, but
Yeah, I think Ryan, it makes sense for him to be there in that interim role. I
yeah,
I think very highly of him as a coach. I know Jim Curtin thought very highly of him. And so he knows these players, he knows the system. So how long he'll be in that role remains to be seen, because they said they're, doing a global search for the next coach. So, whether that ends up being Ryan or they bring someone else in, and when that happens, if it's after the World Cup break or next season, whatever, who knows? But in the meantime, I think that Ryan Richter can do a very good job with the first team. And that doesn't mean, I mean, it's a big undertaking, taking taking over a one-win team. But
right.
at least, maybe things can be stabilized, or maybe it'll be like the Don Mattingly effect, which is, you know, go on the up and up a bit. So who knows? And then of course,
But I have a couple of other
yeah.
things. I just want to add a couple
Mm,
things. With he had the experience there for the 2 years with
mhm,
Curtin. And I forget who it was asked Sherman about, are you going to change philosophy and tactics? And Sherman basically said, no, we're going to stay true to our
mhm,
pillars. I know Ryan, they played a different style under Jim. When Ryan came in, I remember asking him, going from that system under
mhm,
Jim to what Carnell wants to implement, he was very high on. It. He's like,
mhm,
"Look, I want to press, and we're going to do all those things," and he has. And I'm curious, does he keep certain elements
mhm,
of that while adding maybe his own spin? Some things he took
mhm.
from Jim.
Yeah.
Does he go back to that old formation?
Mm,
I don't think he would, but who knows? I think there's a little bit more flexibility, and this is all saying if they don't hire somebody before the restart on July
yeah.
22nd. I think there's that. I think the second thing, so he's been in the MLS as a coach.
Yeah.
I think he has ties with some of the players, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Um, and also, you look at the job he did last year with Union 2. Now,
Mhm.
this year, they're really young,
Yeah.
probably even younger than they were last year.
Yeah, there was more of a turnover on that. So
Just like the first team.
as he said, it goes in cycles.
And it really does. And I think, I mean, for them being in what, ninth place right now, I think with this team, it's like, okay. Uh, Having said that, I, I know John said that they like to promote within. I think if he wants to, this is his opportunity,
Hmm.
and I wish him the best. But yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
When I talked to him about just soccer
Hmm.
and IQ and just him remembering plays and seeing plays and knowing how plays develop.
Yeah, he has got a super soccer IQ, in my opinion.
I mean, there was a play. The Julian Carranza goal from the MLS next Eastern Conference Final.
Okay.
Julian,
Yeah.
the one where it was like, or was it the Gazdag goal where he heads the ball into Gazdag and Gazdag scores, and that was when they took the lead.
Okay.
I just remember saying something to somebody once, or was another play. Anyway, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. He just starts ringing off the play like it just happened.
Yeah.
And I think I shared about it on a podcast.
Well,
And it just,
yeah.
I think it was even in a press conference. He just starts rambling off plays, and I just was like, oh, okay.
No, I mean, I think his soccer IQ is great, and just talking with him, before.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I think it was one of the post game press conferences, so we probably can find that comment.
Yeah. Well, honestly, yeah, we do kind of pre-match kind of press conferences, just more we talk with him before matches and get his insights and stuff for Union 2. And always always gave us great information and insight into some things with them, and also after the matches. So I think that it'll be interesting seeing him doing like the full like press conferences with everybody. I mean, he's going to be fine, but I'm just saying like he always gave really good responses.
He did.
And but yeah, I've been very impressed. I mean, um,
I will
I
say
I
this.
think he's just super smart. Well, he's got a degree in accounting, which, as he joked, he's like
I will
doesn't
say
really come in
this.
too much handy now.
You ask Ryan a good question,
Yeah.
he will give you a good response.
Yes. Bingo.
He is very much that way. You ask him a good question, he will
Hmm.
give you a good response. Might not always be the response you want, but he'll give you a good response.
Yeah. And so with Ryan moving to the first team, Chris Harmon, who's the U18 coach from the academy, he is the interim Union 2 coach now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
he was an assistant. He's familiar with MLS Next Pro. He was an assistant in Austin FC 2 when
Yep.
they made it. I think they actually won the one they beat Columbus Crew to. I think I forget which year it was, but
Hmm.
yeah, they've been. He's been there,
Yeah.
and he's done good for the U18s. I think with
Yeah.
that squad, he's
Yeah.
done a nice job. I've heard good things about him.
Yeah. He
I
left.
think there's people in the organization are very positive about him.
Yeah.
And it's good to see him, Again, will this be long term? Who knows? Again, I still would like Peter McDonald. But
Yeah.
but that's not a knock on him because I've
No.
seen him coach, I've seen
Yeah.
him interact in training. Great guy. So excited for him excited to see who I imagine Henry and Fred will stay, probably Ross. But I am curious to see if any. I imagine those are going to stay just in case if Ryan comes down,
Yeah.
Chris will go back to 18s.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah.
Uh,
And speaking of Union 2, we'll talk about them. I don't think we ever even.
can we get back to the press conference?
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, because
Oh yeah.
we
We did.
jumped around,
We're gonna
jumped
talk about
around.
Jon Scheer a little bit
Let's
there.
talk about John. I
Yeah.
mean, like we said, John came in, was in the academy, scouting, and then
Yeah.
became director of academy. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that works.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him
Yep.
at Academy game
Yep.
at what, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And then he is back out there for a first team match.
Yep.
This is when we've seen him so much.
Oh
And
yeah.
I will say this, the guy works.
He did.
And Ryan said that too, that
Yeah.
they have a good working relationship together. They work well.
Yeah.
They don't always agree, but iron sharpening iron.
Yeah. We've talked to Jon Scheer many times.
Always gracious.
Always great to talk to. Yeah. We think highly of him. So.
I mean, I've talked to him literally during, just during like, we've seen him on match day, and he's always just been pleasant, gives us our
Yeah.
time, and he'll chat with us a little bit, and then he'll go and do what he needs to do.
Yeah, especially this year, super busy having being the interim sporting director and basically dealing with everything top to bottom. So, yeah, a lot going on.
Yeah. So I think that's a good move. Obviously, it sounds like they are just going to do a full reset.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got with this World Cup break, you got what, seven? How many games do we have left? 18 games? No, 19?
Hmm. Forget exactly.
I think it's 19 games. Maybe I gotta look at my roster. Anyway, um, now I lost my train of thought. And then you have the sprint season
Hmm.
before the calendar change.
Yeah.
It does make sense that you got two windows transfer windows coming up. Jay basically stated that it sounded like the end of this contract to the end of the year. He was out the door.
Hmm. Ernst, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ernst was out the door. Um, Heading back to Germany, which I find interesting, and especially, how much the all the information suspension maybe had expedited that.
Yeah.
But we'll see. There was a lot of things said, a lot of things that I don't know, just felt like were kind of said but brushed over.
Yeah.
However, one of the things I really did like was the moves that, Jon Scheer talking about the moves.
Yeah.
I want to play that clip that they did make. I just have two clips, guys, for you today. So just here we go.
First and foremost, whenever you bring players in, there will be a period where they have to assimilate and they have to develop. Certainly, the pieces that we lost, and I would say the expectation of the group of where our additions would be at this point in time, they certainly haven't all reached that level just yet. I was part of the sporting leadership group, but certainly while still being at the academy and holding that responsibility, it's different when you're in the building, when you're supporting the process rather than being a key stakeholder or the decision maker. But with that said, whenever there's scouting and you approach transfer windows, that goes months in advance. And clubs that approach it in the right way, like we have over a period of years, you're not only planning for one window, but you're also future planning beyond that. So I can say that the group were tracking a lot of players. They brought in players that they were looking at over a long course of time. And the strategy was set forth months in advance prior to that window.
Do you expect, stepping away from being part of that sorting that was stepping in for Ernst to provide some clarity to maybe the direction of this team and some freedom to you to make kind of those decisions?
In this upcoming window or in general? Yeah, no, it's we've been in touch with obviously not only the technical development team, but also our talent identification team. It's very clear that we need pieces. We've identified key ingredients that we're looking for in our additions, in our signings, whether that be leadership, whether that be weapons offset pieces, whether that be a piece to our back line that is left-footed to give us versatility in terms of how we build and how we attack. And can also say that we feel we need another attacking piece to give us a different look, a different skill set, especially in and around goal to help complement the pieces that we do have. First and
All right.
foremost,
So that
whenever
was
you
a long thing, but just a couple things there. First and foremost, just
Yeah.
the process, obviously, well, you want to anything to say on that?
Well, basically explaining, yeah, these moves that they made, these guys that brought in, like some of these things were really in the works for a while. So, in other words, you can't put all the blame on some of these things working out just on Jon Scheer. But no, he he basically explained, yeah, it's a process with some of these things, and yeah, unfortunately, some of them didn't work out. So, but they're going to be moving in some, hopefully going after some new pieces to the lineup there, possibly. So
Yeah. Look, they got what was it? I think 4,000,000 seven
they have all
hundred
kinds of crazy game going
gam.
on.
And Sherman said they got money from this last window. They tried to be aggressive. They tried to, I don't know, go out and spend more, and some of the
Hmm.
players didn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, they talk about left-footed left back, a set piece taker, somebody else in the attack that brings a different role, similar
Hmm.
to like a Mikel Ua.
Yep.
We didn't say Mikel Ua, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of when I heard that comment, I was kind of thinking to myself, oh, like a Mikel Ua or somebody like along those lines.
Someone that can finish, and I think like
Yeah,
Malik Jakupovic could be that guy, but he's still developing.
right. And John even talked about him in his thing. And
Yeah.
so I think it was important that question where it was like, oh, well, yeah, John didn't have all those moves from this past window. Those weren't all his.
Yeah.
That these processes, again, I think Jose and Todd talk about it. These happen months
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You're making contact early to set up future contacts. So, I mean, again, not a ton shared there, but some little
Yeah.
interesting insights and just where they want to look at moving
Yeah.
forward. And then another thing, we talk about this with these new moves,
Yeah.
like the Malik Jakupovic's,
Yeah.
the David Vasquez, the CJ Olney's, the Neil Pierre's.
Yeah.
We want to get better
Yeah.
as a club. And I remember asking Ernst that, I guess, at Carnell's presser last year. And basically said that was a problem with Curtin, that he didn't want to play young
Mhm.
guys. Well, we learned with Bradley that wasn't always the problem.
Mhm.
Being mindful of kind of something we touched on with these academy kids, not blocking them,
Mhm.
but and making sure that pathway is there, but also not holding yourself thin then either. And
Yeah.
so here's the clip I want to share with you.
Oh, look, I think that's the beauty of MLS right now, is that there's different ways to generate value from our academy. We invest more in our academy than any club in the country. That helps us now with our first team. We've also put a lot of resources into with Swiss Bank Sportsplex for individual development, for team development, to try to again enhance our profiles coming through in this manufacturing engine. I would say that we have to make sure that we keep the profiles that are going to help us have success in MLS. But that's not to say that we don't take pride in being able to transact on players that might go on to a San Diego and beyond. Can also represent the U.S. men's national team or other senior national teams at the highest of levels, which then funnels back into recruitment for the next wave of kids, the next Malik Jakupovic, the next Kevin Sullivan, to want to choose to develop at the Philadelphia Union, which continues this pipeline. But ultimately, Malik needs to compete. Kevin has shown certainly that competition is good and he can rise up the ranks. So it's we're always looking from within. So whenever we sign a player, we're looking at a roster to say who might this block, who might be ready, and that's for academy players, but that's for players overall. So certainly there's a lot of ongoing discussions. You can look at Neil Pierre as well, who's been transferred to Lyngby or is on loan at Lyngby, our partner club, and doing really, really well. So it's never going to be that every academy player is able to play for the first team, but I do think it's a positive that we're able to generate value in different ways.
And I appreciate John bringing up Neil Pierre because that was
Yeah.
I didn't ask any questions, but that was one I had on my radar.
Yeah, because his load, was
Like
through
the
June.
like
So
CJ, like the Marcus, like
yeah.
those guys. Like, hey, with maybe these changes, does that change your trajectory on like maybe a CJ? I mean, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
they're coming through. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And Neil's done great at Lyngby. I'll be
He
interested to
has.
see if they call him back or if they extend his loan because I would think if he's not going to get playing time with the first team, let him keep playing at Lyngby for now.
I mean, sure, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
they got
He needs
promoted.
more than he needs more than playing with Union too.
All right.
Um
So yeah,
yeah.
there's that. I really do appreciate where he says not every academy player, and I know we talk a lot of them, are going to
Mhm.
make that pathway,
Yeah.
and that's fair. But again, just making sure does that make sense? And
Yeah.
and some people might take it, oh, so if they can go get an expensive player but blocks Moloch, they're not going to do it. I would be highly shocked if they could get a good player. Somebody like he even said, like Moloch. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like they have plans for Moloch, yes, but they also know,
He's 16. He's
yeah,
he's
exactly. There's
still
time.
developing.
So,
And definitely really high on what his potential is and everything. Just yeah, he's still developing.
but it is refreshing to
Mhm.
hear that the innovation, they always preach innovation.
Yeah.
You know, just it seems like they have those parameters. Again, how much is that PR talk? How much is that actually going on behind the scenes? I do feel like they feel that way. Everybody we've talked to brings that up, but yeah, it's interesting. But I do appreciate John, and
Yeah.
I do congratulate him on the role, and it'll be interesting covering this whole, you know, his regime of,
Mhm.
being this sporting director.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Do we want to then, speaking going on, Union 2 then?
yeah, so and we never because we didn't really talk about it because it got all
The news.
the all the news happened, but they did have a 2-1 comeback win over Atlanta United too, 2 weekends ago, and we were unable to attend that because we had my cousin's wedding. But
Mhm.
But that was great because Mateus DePaula got his first MLS Next Pro goal, his first pro goal, and then Theo Reed scored the game winner, and that was his first professional goal as well. And, so at that point, that's two games in a row where Mateus has a goal contribution, and they had a really thin bench, and that was Ryan Richter's last game with Union 2 before getting bumped up to interim first team coach. But that was a really spirited performance by them, which was great.
Mhm.
See, Caden Moore was playing against his old club. He's been loaned from Atlanta. So,
Which again,
and
well,
you talked to him.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I talked to him on Friday. Really nice kid.
Mhm.
Really, really good kid. Very personable, very friendly. I think he was just, I felt like he was just really happy somebody wanted to talk to him. But, we had a really good conversation about his time in with Elaine Knight coming up through the academy. He even said, he goes, I know pretty much everybody on that team, but also sharing some of the stories of the transition. And then even asked Ryan, like, you sign him to that weird loan. He comes in for a couple games. He starts MLS Next Pro Eastern
He's basically an off-roster homegrown.
Grown, and
Yeah.
now he's back on. He goes back to Atlanta, then he comes back right away. How have you seen it? And he's like he's starting to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I have seen that from Caden. He looks better than he did last year, maybe even
You need a little
early.
bit of adjusting to the system.
And so I think that's what it is, the point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he even said he's like, there's a lot of things I
Yeah.
still can improve upon. So we'll see what he does. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was interesting. And then yeah,
Yeah,
fall
Friday night
into
game at Toronto FC. That's the third time they played Toronto. It was twice in the road, and there was the opening match of the
Mhm.
season was at home against them. So again, they were, they didn't have they didn't have a full bench for this match either. They didn't have the academy guys except for Mateus DePaula and Nehan Hassan came back a little bit earlier than the other U18s. Like once yeah, they came back a little bit sooner. So, speaking of though, well, first of all, Union 2, they go down 2-0. Of course, they couldn't keep Fletcher Bank off the um score sheet this time. I mean, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was really windy game there too. But anyway, so they really were having trouble getting much going. I mean, they'd have some chances here and there. But yeah, they give up that goal and then they give up a second goal. But and Malik Akapovic, I think like strikers are streaky. He just, you know, was there there's a few chances there a little bit, but I think he's so overdue for a goal. But who does get a goal? Mateus DePaula, and it's a goal of the match week nominee. You can go vote on Instagram, by the way, for that. But he gets it was a really nice setup on that too, on that play. But anyway, he hit top bins like from
Yeah.
outside the box. I mean, what a goal. His second goal now for Union 2, and that's 3 games in a row that he's had a goal contribution. So, I mean, he looks better every game. I can't say enough. We've talked about Mateus before. I've interviewed him.
Ryan's talked about.
Brian's talked about him. Like really, I think promising young player. He's, rising senior. He's
Penn
been
State.
to Penn State. We'll see if he pulls a Frankie. But yeah, like that's just it's interesting. But yeah, I think, he's a heck of a player. So he plays midfield, defensive mid especially. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do as we move forward. Unfortunately, Union 2 couldn't get an equalizer.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. And and also Jordan Griffin left the game with an injury. I don't know what his status is, especially now he would be missing the next game anyway, as is Kellen LeBlanc
Who,
and
by
as
the
is
way,
Malik.
we haven't recorded since then. Got a short-term deal with the first team
Yeah,
against Inter
we
Miami.
didn't even talk about the Inter Miami game. It's been covered to death. I mean,
Yeah,
the Inter Miami game.
but that was a
Yeah.
cool moment. And I'm glad I got to ask
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah, go Kellen. Like Kellen
And
getting to at
and
least
in
be on the
fact
bench.
that him and Jordan, and I mean, I know they've been trained like some of those
Yeah.
guys that that Carnell wanted to have a look at.
So Kellen and Jordan, they both got called to the
Raphael's been up there.
yeah, to the to the US men's
Oh,
youth national team.
yeah.
That camp is going to be in Spain. So that was the the U18s. And so big opportunity for them. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I'm hoping Jordan's injury isn't too bad, but that will cause them to miss the game against Crown Legacy of all games because that's the first place team right now. And Malik Jakupovic got called to the U17 men's national team, which they're going to be down in Brazil. So they, yeah, that that squad, of course, they're getting ready for that U17 World Cup.
It's gonna be a tough match on Friday.
Yeah, so missing him, you know, I expect to see guys like Theo Reed and John Ruff and Eddie Davis played it was Eddie and Malik up top and I assuming Eddie because I guess because they have the mandated time off for this World Cup break first team players, but I don't know how it works for some of the guys that tend to play in the next pro. I think didn't we talk with Ryan about this last year or something during like one of those breaks?
There is something weird.
Forget. And I think maybe they just can't be forced to play, but they can maybe choose to or something
like that.
Because you notice like George Marks wasn't in goal, and I don't think we're going to see him in goal during the break. From what I've heard, but yeah, Pierce was in goal, which makes sense anyway. So anyway, yeah, definitely gonna be missing those three, I guess. Which is unfortunate against Crown Legacy, but no, the other guys will have to step up. And like I said, they might have more of the academy guys available for this as well. So yeah, Theo's done well. He's gotten a few more appearances, so good for him scoring. He had a brace in that showcase game for the 18s, by the way. Andrew Craig scored a penalty in that. Anyway, so maybe we'll see some of these guys get to step up. I'd love to see Andrew Craig get in the match because I think he's been so good in his limited minutes with Union too.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So anyway, they play Crown Legacy on Friday away, down in North Carolina, and that will be at 7 p.m. So you can watch that, and yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So
yeah, World Cup's upon us. And we'll have some content. I know I was just with everything going on. I haven't sat down to kind of recap everything from the presser and Carnell. I kind of have some thoughts I'm kind of working on right now. I'll probably put something out. No rush. But they're just because they're not back to Union. They're not back till July 22nd doesn't mean we're not gonna have comment and stuff coming up. Obviously, if news breaks between then and there, we'll probably recap somehow like Makanya and Danley are doing.
And we still got Union too, so Next Pro is still playing throughout this, and so we'll have Union 2 content. Union 2 are back home on June 14th. Happy birthday, Mom, by the way, on that. So that'll be a 3 p.m. game on that Sunday at the Wisvis Bank Sportsplex at the Kinetic Field. So get on out. Yeah, no, like people go out and support them. Union 2 games are fun, and you don't have Union games to go to right now. So go support Union 2. The tickets are cheap too. So free parking, it's great. So get on out there, and you can see some really good young players, especially in there. So that'll be good. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been an all new episode of the One Team We Agree On.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and leave us comments. We love hearing from you and spread the word. Thanks for people who, share our stuff out there. And yeah, we appreciate everyone checking out what we do.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see kind of. I'm gonna try to get back down. We're gonna try to get down to train for Union 2.
Yeah, and I'm done school next week, thankfully. So once that is done, I will be able to get down to training as well, and I look forward to being able to do that.
Yeah. So until next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
And we'll see you at the game.